Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are here with a video which I've been intending on making for quite some time now, and finally I've just gotten around to actually making the video itself. And today I'm basically going to be explaining, is F1 2018 really worth it? Is it really worth the price that you have to pay to purchase the game, really? And I've been meaning to do this for a long time. People would have seen right now that I've said that F1 18 is a must avoid. I feel like I was a little bit too harsh on that. I'm just going to go into it anyway. We're going to get straight into it. On your screens right now, you're going to be seeing my F1 2018 career mode video with Mercedes-Benz, my very first episode, which was back when F1 first released. I'm just going to put that in the background as I basically want to go ahead and talk for you guys. And it's probably going to be about half an hour of talking because I just like to ramble on. So without further ado, let's get into it. F1 2018 was released on, I think it was the 24th of August, something around about that time, maybe earlier, maybe the 20th or 21st, whatever, it was released at some time. And it's been a couple of months now, and it's a good time to start talking about the game, why it's, for me, not that good. There are elements of the game which are phenomenal, and I'm not going to take that away from Codemasters. However, I just feel like there's so many issues. Now, I did talk about the big issue with F1 when it came to their advertisement, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that again in this video, and how some YouTubers got the game a week early and it really kind of killed the hype a bit. I've gone ahead and I've ranted about that. That's in a separate video and that's gone in the past. I'm going to be talking more about today. So first of all, I'm going to start with career mode. Thank you for that person to follow me on Twitter at that time. So first of all, with career mode then, there's been a couple of changes to career mode, but it's also stayed relatively the same. Now, with career mode, this year, obviously, you can once again pick your team that you'd like to drive for. I really do like the feature, you know, you don't have to start in a rubbish team and then try and get a contract off it. You just pick your team and you just go for it and you do what you want with the team that you want. That's perfectly fine. The interview system is a very, very nice feature that's been added into the game, and it's something that we've really wanted for a long time, which was getting interviews with Claire. However, the biggest problem with that is they're just a bit too repetitive. It's nice, obviously, that they're in the game in the first place, but it's now gotten to a stage where they're just way too repetitive. It's the same thing every single time, and the biggest problem is if there's a question that Claire specifically says which will inevitably criticize your team members, you automatically can just click no comment, and you just keep on sucking off to your team. Now, in some respects, that might be a case of what you would genuinely do. You would genuinely just not comment on an interview question, but I feel like when they add that dynamic of, oh, you may demotivate your team, if you don't actually comment on anything demotivating, that completely kills the way you respond. I feel like they just need to be a little bit more diverse with how they say it, and sort of say, look, if you say this, it may sound positive, but sort of like get the trick going. Like, there's been a question, you sort of like press it and you think, I didn't think that would demotivate the team. I need to be a bit more careful and sort of really work it out. There are some questions that do say that. I just don't think there's enough. And I feel like the same things just said. Like, after the third race, I realized they were kind of just all the same question. They weren't really any different. And it didn't really add massive dynamics to the game itself. It did, and hopefully interviews can be developed a bit more next year, because they are something that I'd like to see in the game for the longevity of the future. And then we move on to the new features within the career mode itself. So interviews overall, they're definitely good. They just need the development system now. Career mode, in terms of the next stages, invitational events are now skippable. Last year, there was a guy that came along and he's like, yo, got some classic cars, babes, take them round for me. And you didn't have the option to skip them. Now, this year, you can skip them. But honestly, I feel like classic cars are a waste of time in Formula 1. They really aren't necessary. I don't like them. They're not needed. Now, granted, there are going to be people that love the classic cars. It's going to be people that play F1 2018 literally just for classic cars. They won't give a damn about the actual cars that are in the game. They'll just play with the classic cars. And for you guys, fine, you know, keep it that way. I just feel like they're just so, they're so niche that I just don't think they need to be in there. In terms of the invitational events, they need to be scrapped altogether. They're completely pointless. Everyone's career modes that I've ever watched, I don't watch anyone, I don't watch anyone's really. But like when the game released, I saw a couple of people's career modes to see who they were going with. The only person that I watch career mode videos now is Tom97HD. Absolutely love the guy when it comes to his videos. They're really good. And he's the only career mode person that I watch, mainly because that's what he stands for in the community. And like invitational events are just never done because we just don't care about them. We want to move on with the career modes, and I think that's where it needs to go. For me, keep the classic cars, keep those invitational events, make them a bit more challenging, and just, you know, classic card challenges, and then let the people do it that way. But keep it as its separate, like, invitational event, like they did. Like, you've got the championships that you can pick to play, or you can do the invitational events again if you really want to. Keep it in that section. Don't put it into career modes because no one really plays it, and I think it's a waste of time. But the best thing for me about career mode is the contract negotiation system. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal feature, and it definitely makes me feel a bit more like I'm in control of myself and my seat in Formula 1. Obviously, if I'm performing badly, my contract value decreases, and it means that when it comes to trying to get a better contract, I know that I have to work to get the better contract. I like how you can increase the pit stop efficiency, the resource points, the development, the first driver, all of that stuff. I think all that dynamic really does make you feel like you are a part of something. And for me, it works perfectly. There are a few things that I think are a little bit wrong with the contract negotiation system in general, but I think overall, in terms of F1 2018, personally for me, contract negotiation has been the best thing that's been added into the career mode section. But overall, I think that when it comes to stating your value, I feel like even if you go a little bit over your value, I feel like you're not allowed to be cheeky. And I feel like we should be able to. Like, there's going to be people out there, like, let's go to the football, for example. You know, you've got like you've got a player who, like, you desperately want to keep in your team, and he's always begging for a bit more money. He's trying to get a little bit more to see if he can really push that contract. And I feel like as soon as you go over that your value sign, you just reject it. It's like, nope, yep, go away, that type of thing. I feel like you should be able to try and cheek your way through it, like not go massively over the contract, like your value status, but I feel like we should be able to go a little bit overwards and be like, ooh, I'm a little bit over. And then it gives you that element of more risk. You sort of, every contract negotiation that I've seen, you're always playing it really, really cautiously, and it's not fun that way. Like, it's sort of like, right, I'm gonna get to here, you're like a tiny bit over, and it's like, right, I'm just gonna play it cautious, I'm just gonna drop that, and all of a sudden, when you have a look at your value and where you've set your contract to go, because you've had to narrow it down a little bit, you sort of just lost loads of value that you could have potentially got back. And I feel like if we were allowed to be a little bit cheeky, now don't make it that they're always going to just go ahead and accept it. Make it, again, different. You might be rejected the 3 times in a row, and it may be a case of, right, I'll try 2 times where I'm nice and cheeky, and then I'll be like, right, now I've got to play it cautious. Like, give us that option to really negotiate properly with a team and say, I want this, I really want this. And when it comes to it, if you're pushing a little bit over your value twice and they say no, then the ball is back in my court then. And that makes me think more in the game itself, and it just for me would work better. I just don't like how where it says your value, you just cannot go over it. It's not really fun that way. I also like the fact that you can't see where your negotiation is going to take you in terms of the charts, so you can't really measure it. I like how it's unpredictable. Like, you may think, yeah, that's fair, and then boom, you're miles over. That's a cool feature. That needs to stay. Contract negotiation systems, if they can develop it anymore, it will make me a happier guy. So, hey-ho, that is what it is. The next thing then I want to talk about in the career mode section is going to be the R&D progress. Way too fast this year. Straight up. R&D progress this year compared to the AI is way, way too fast. You know, I've been watching again. I've seen Tom97HD's career mode. I've seen Tiamat Marduk's career mode. And even Ben said it himself. I think Ben said it himself anyway. That career mode is just too quick, AI progress-wise. Like, you know, you can just get to the top really, really easily. And it just doesn't make it fun. Like, you want to have a sense of real achievement when you've managed to do it. Like, I remember when I've always watched Ben's career mode, like when he's done it in the McLaren Honda, like the achievement, it took him like, was it like 4, nearly 5 seasons to do it? And then, you know, he did it in like the Manor, and again, you know, like, he really, like, worked hard, and you could tell that. Whereas this year, like, when I was watching his videos, he just didn't really seem to be that happy with it, and was sort of like, yeah, this is too easy. And I totally agree. I feel like career modes this year is far, far too easy. I don't like that, and it really sucks, especially if you're driving for a top team. Like, the reason I chose Mercedes in my career mode was just because I was just a massive fan of Mercedes, and I really wanted to just drive with them. And in the past, I had lots of views on Mercedes with my career modes, but obviously this year just didn't work out, and that's how it is. But I feel like if I want to pick one of these top teams, like, I just shot away in the distance. Like, there was no one was catching me. Like, I want it so, like, I bring in, like, an ultimate upgrade, and it's like, boom, there you go. And then all of a sudden, Ferrari, boom, ultimate upgrades, keeping up that pace, keeping a nice, close, tight battle with you. And I feel you just don't get that. It just doesn't feel realistic. Like, I don't mind that the players' progress is slightly quicker than the AI's, but it needs some balancing adjustments for me. It's not quite there yet, and it really needs to work harder if they're going to make a nice, clean balance, because right now, there isn't really the balance there that we're looking for, and it needs to be improved for the next game, because career mode is just way, way too easy, and you lose the fun in it, and it just gets boring after some time. Sure, you can raise the difficulty if you're not, if you're not racing on that, on a high enough difficulty, but in just terms of you making upgrades compared to the AIs, they're just not really that fun. And yeah, I think that's where we need to go from there. The next one that I want to talk about is going to be the rules and regulation system. That's a really, really good feature. Once again, Codemasters have really done a good job with introducing new features into the game. The rules and regulation system, unfortunately, from Codemasters, they did a live stream about 2 weeks before the game came out, or a couple of weeks beforehand, and they live streamed how a full rules and regulation system would work. They showed the cutscene, they showed how it looks in the menu, and then they showed how it looks when you go in from one season to the next, and that really just screwed it over. I mean, if you're a game company, I understand marketing. Like, I'm a games designer. I know where I'm coming from in terms of marketing. Like I've said, I'm making a game right now, which I'm eventually going to release to you guys. So I know that marketing is critical, but you cannot give away all of your information about the rules and regulation system. Sure, tell us that you're going to have a rules and regulation system. Tell us that you're going to, the grid is going to change over, but don't show us the cutscene. Don't show us the full transformation before the game's released, because we want to get through the season and we want to realize, like, halfway through ourselves, like, oh my god, I've never seen this cutscene before. And then he comes in and he says, we've got a rules and regulations change. And then you get that immediate shock coming in. Now, sure, when you do multiple seasons of your career modes, it's going to be the same thing, granted, but at least give those fans, like, that initial reaction, like, say, like, if it was on the R&D tree, like, show us the R&D tree and say, look, this is how it will work, but don't show us, like, how it will end up and then how it will come about. Like, show us, right, as you can see here, we're going to have a rules and regulations change. On your screens right now is an R&D tree. Everything that's highlighted in yellow is going to be things that will be affected and it'll be different. Leave it at that. Don't say any more. Just say, right, that's how it's going to be. And then come next season, the grid will change over. Leave it there. Don't mark it anymore. Keep that element of surprise. Keep people asking the questions and thinking, oh my god, how am I going to do this? Like, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? And keep getting those questions from your audience sent to the game developers. And it's a case of, if you really want to find out, come buy the game. Find out yourselves, you know? We don't want to know from a live stream, because automatically there are going to be people that will be so hyped that it's like, oh my god, this looks absolutely amazing, I'm buying the game. There's going to be some people that will then think, actually, this regulation system sucks, and you've just lost a bunch of sales right there. Now, of course, you know, you've got to show something, but don't show it all. It ruined it for me, and, I mean, it's good. Like, I like it, but I still feel like it's a little bit strange in some ways. I feel like it needs a bit of improvement, because in the regulation system, there's been a lot of career modes, again, that I've seen that everyone has gone ahead and they've basically had the opportunity to just make sure that everything is legal for next year. And it doesn't really make sense. I feel like, you know, if you're going to do stuff, sort of like, I don't know, like, balance it out a little bit. Like, yes, you've got to pay R&D points for it, but maybe make it so that some things some things like are easy to legalize and some things aren't. So, like, you'll spend R&D points and he'll be like, right, watch out a minute. If you spend R&D points on this, we can try and legalize this, but it's highly unlikely that it will be legal. We're going to have to just completely scrap that section and go with a brand new thing. I think that'd be good, and I think it's something that I'd like to see come next year. Speaking of next year, in terms of career modes, I think there should be a separate R&D tree, which is for the next season. Obviously, as we know, teams and drivers, or as you guys as players, we go ahead and if your season is not going to plan, obviously we've seen it in real life. The teams in Formula 1 right now will be developing on next year's car. In this game, we don't really have the opportunity to do that until the end of the season. I feel like there should be an R&D tree, which is for the season that you're on, and then an R&D tree season, for the next season that you're on. And then when it comes to 2019, you know, if it comes to like Austria and you realize this just isn't going well, you know, I'm just not doing anything, or it's like, I'm just going to spend this season chucking my R&D points on next year. I feel like that should be something that can be done, because then you go to next year and then boom, all your upgrades are there and they'll be fine. And I think the biggest curveball with that for players, again, if a rules and regulations change comes into place, then of course you're going to have to go ahead and then adapt those parts. But I think for that section, it'd be kind of cool. The fact that it's like, right, I'm going to have a look at the chassis, and then you think, right, do you know what? My car's just not working this year. I'm going to just spend as many R&D points. I'm just going to chuck on next year's car. I'm going to get a nice big boost next year and just take the hit for this year's season. Because we've seen that before, like Renault, Haas, and all the midfield teams. They're not developing, they haven't been developing their cars since like Italy. They've just been chucking it all on next year, getting ready for a new year. And I think that's what they should do in this game. Just give us the opportunity, right, if this isn't working, I'm going to go to next year, I'm going to do that one instead. And it'd be a lot more fun that way. And the final thing that I can really comment on career mode, there's two other things actually. First of all is down to setup. Now, one thing that I've really wanted in career mode, it's a really small feature, but if I remember, I'll put a picture on the screen. This is Mercedes' rear wing that they've been using for the majority of the season. And Cobas is actually, speaking of that, why on earth the Mercedes-Benz has not been updated yet, I do not know. We've seen the Ferrari have its update with the mirrors on it. We've seen the Force India have an update with the wheel and the halo. We've seen the McLaren have a drastic update as well. Mercedes have had a massive update since Austria, and it's not changed. The rear wing is not what Mercedes-Benz run. The rear wing that Mercedes-Benz have got on the game right now is their low downforce wing. They've not got the new side pods. They've not got the new little stick downs where the mirror is. They're just lazy. Like, why is the Mercedes not updated? It should be consistently updated, and that's again something we'll talk about in a minute. But I don't know, why is it not updated, man? Update my Merc, damn it. But I think, you know, for when it comes to career modes, I think we should be able to choose what style of wing we go for. Now, let's go to, I'm going to show you some pictures. So we've got Mercedes' rear wing that they normally use. It's just a standard rectangular rear wing. When it comes to a lower downforce circuit, let's go to, say, Silverstone, for example. Mercedes-Benz ran with this bucket-styled rear wing. And then come a extremely low downforce track like Monza and Spa, and even Brazil, they ran with their skinniest style of wing. Why? I feel like we should be able to do that in our game as well. Like, if we pick a wing, say for an example, we run with the maximum downforce wing, and we do like 2-2 wings, something like that, but then you pick like the skinniest rear wing possible, and then you change your setup again based on your rear wing. And I think it'd be great to do that. Ferrari, again, this is their rectangular wing. Then they've got their bucket-styled wing. And then they've got their rectangular but absolutely full-on skinny wing. Like, let us use these different types of rear wings and really adjust with the setup. It's going to be a bit difficult to implement it, but it's sort of like, right, like, in terms of the selection on the car, what wing do you want to run? And all of a sudden, like, you could be running with the skinniest wing possible, and you just realize this just isn't working. And then you change your rear wing to the bucket-styled wing, which is giving you a bit extra downforce, and it's like, this is the perfect wing, like, we'll use this one. Or it's like, right, do I want to go with maximum downforce on my rear wing? I'll use this one around Paul Ricard. And then all of a sudden you think, let's try the bucket wing instead. Boom, that one's working for me. I'll use that one. I think it'd be a bit more fun, add a bit more dynamic to it, and just allow loads of different types of setups to be made based on your actual car itself. And then, overall, the final thing I've got to say about career mode for me is, once again, as of every single year of career modes being out, once again, basically, why do I have a character in the game? There is no point in me having a career mode character. I've said it so many times in the past. The only time you see your career mode characters, if you retire from the session, if you finish on the podium, you don't see them after that. It's pointless. Just don't give me a character. Just give me an unlockable. Just give me a locked character. Just give me nothing. Like, I don't want to spend my time. Like, I want to do something. Like, I want to free roam around my garages. I want to walk around the paddock. I want to, you know, if it's in practice, like, if we're in FP1, for example, I want to get out my car. I want to walk in the garage. I want to, you know, like, do an emote where I wave to the fans, and I want to then go, like, back into the garage and then go over to my car and then click, you know, get in car and then drive out again. Like, I want to be free. I want to be a person in the game. Like, this is their biggest selling point in Formula 1, and I just want to be something. I want to actually feel involved. I want to see cutscenes where it shows me and it shows the other character and it shows them together doing something in the game. Like if it was coming to a contract negotiation, like I want to see it so it's like Emma and then your character and you shake hands and you sit down and she's like, right, I've got a negotiation for you. Like, how is this going to work? And then you sort of like, you know, he shakes hands. Same thing when it comes to R&D development. I want to walk around my garage and I want to speak to a team and then a cutscene comes in and it's like, hey, what can I do for you? And it's like a little selection box. Within that selection box, it says, you know, purchase R&D upgrade this. And it's sort of like, yeah, you know what, we can do that. Thanks so very much. We'll get that on the car for you as soon as possible. And just more cutscenes, more free roam. Let us be a character that we really, really want to be. And the final thing that I want to say, actually, is just reminding me, is I want to see upgrade negotiations. Now, when it comes to a development cycle, you know, we purchase this for 500 resource points, and it says 2 weeks, and we leave it at that. I really want to, if this free roam system ever comes into place, I want to see us go over to the mechanic and be like, right, if I give you an extra 600 resource points, do you reckon you could get this part a week early? And then he will say, you know what, we'll try it, but if you do it, it may not be guaranteed. And then you get, again, play that risk. It's like, should I try and pay more resource points to get it a little bit earlier, but I might be wasting it if it doesn't work, and so forth. And even if you do that, like if you negotiate and you negotiate wrong, then you demoralize that department. If you negotiate and it goes well, you increase morale within that department. I think that'd be really, really cool. More negotiations, more like, right, it's sort of like, again, like FIFA career mode, like you sort of negotiate contract and it's like, right, £500, it's like, yeah, that's not working. £600, yeah, that's not working. And then it's same in this, like, right, I'll give you 400 resource points to get this a week early. And so forth. Like, obviously for the bigger upgrades, like for the ones that says a week, like, obviously you can't because it's just a week. But sort of like, or maybe like when you've got those ones that are weeks, like I'll give you an extra 200 resource points if you promise that it's not going to fail. Like a fail-resistant negotiation. It's like, we can take it, but we don't know if it's going to work. And then you like reject the negotiations. Like, right, we cancel that, but you've demoralized your team. I think that'd be really, really cool. There's so much they could do with career modes. They just need to go about working on it. Then we'll move on to the next stuff then. Time trial, nothing really to talk about that. Standard. Grand Prix, standard really. Only thing for Grand Prix I'd say is just let us do whatever we want around any track. Like Paul Ricard, for example, you barrier off some of the sections of the track, even though, and you just reset us to track. Like when we do rules and flags off, can we just like go wherever we want on a track? Just don't put barriers in. Like, obviously, you know, if you go to rules and regulations, like somewhere in there, can we have a setting where we can just turn off the barriers or something? I highly doubt that's possible, but just like when you get reset to track sometimes and you're trying to like explore loads of different layouts on a track, can't we? I mean, why not? It's a bit of a dumb idea, that one, in fairness. The event system is fine. There's nothing really major with that. The graphics this year on F1, much, much better. I love also the tyre temperature system, you know, when you've got a tyre carcass and the tyre surface. That really adds new dynamic, and I've seen that used quite a lot, and it's really, really good. The classic cars itself, they're again really, really good. The only thing for classic cars is when it comes to online, which is easy to explain online, but when it comes to online, classic cars to me are useless again. Classic cars online need to have an equal mode setting. Now, obviously, if you have a mixed set of cars, that's when I think it should remain realistic. But for example, like if you were rocking with just C1 cars, like with the Ferrari, the Red Bull, McLaren stuff, put those to equal because they're sort of not too hard to balance out. And then like if you're just doing C2 only, let's have those ones equal, like the 92 McLaren and the 91 McLaren and the 92 Williams. And then for like the C3s, where the 70s cars, make those equal. So sort of like, we can just have more races, because the biggest problem with online and racing with classic cars, there's just no equal to them. And it's like, right, we're going to race with C1 cars. Okay, I'll pick the 04 Ferrari, done. Or the 03 Williams. And it's like, we'll race with the C2 ones instead. No, I'll just pick the McLaren or the Williams instead. And then you race with the C1, and it's like, I'll pick the 1979 Lotus. You don't really get to pick anything. Like, if you're doing mixed cars, keep them realistic. Don't give them the option, because if you had a 1976 McLaren matching an 04 Ferrari, the balancing on that front is just too much. But sort of have like all the C1s, make them equal. All the C2s, make them equal. All the C3s, make them equal. And I think it'd be a lot more fun that way. In terms of online, it's absolutely horrendous. It's terrible. I don't know what Codemasters are thinking when it comes to online. It's an absolute joke. It's laughable. It's terrible. The loading time when you go into games just bugs out. The lag is terrible. The netcode is awful. Just, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? It just... I don't have any words for how terrible online really is this year. It's absolutely disgusting how bad it is. It really... I don't know. Like, is it really that tough? I just don't get it. Like, I get mind blown. Like, 2017 was funny, and we were talking about it, and it's like, right, for 2018, let's get this in. And then for 2018, it's like, it's just crap. It really is. It's just terrible. Now, granted, there are some things in online that I actually appreciate them doing. Like, for example, they allowed ghosting to be either on or off in F1 Online. And for that, Codemasters, I thank you, because otherwise, mini games, which I've been doing on my channel, wouldn't exist because I just couldn't do them, and it gives us the freedom. But again, you know, the online just overall is a joke. It really is. And 2019 is critical. If online is terrible in 2019 again, there's just no excuses. And for me, if it's really that difficult, just get a different developer in and do it. Just get a different developer, focus on the online, get a dedicated server running for Formula 1 to give us clean, fun races. And I'm talking more for the hardcore races. Now, for me, it's not so bad, because when I jump online, I'm just going to go into an unranked lobby and crash all the time. And let's face it, I don't care. Like, people out there, though, are doing league racing, and they're doing this, doing that. Like Sam, for example, who's currently in a league or something like that. Anyway, he's doing a league race. So a lot of you, my subscribers right now, you guys league race, and I feel for you, because when people, I see Team at Marduk's league racing videos, and, you know, when people get crashed out of their league race because of lag and stuff like that, it demotivates you as a player. It demotivates you to play F1 2018, and you think to yourself, I don't want to play the game. And I've seen that, especially like Sam, Williams Gaming, for example. Like, he doesn't play F1 2018, barely. Only for league racing, really. And it's just not fun. Like, online, it's weird to say this, but online is bigger than career mode now. It's got to that stage. Career mode's massive, don't get me wrong, but they now need to focus their selling point on online as well, because it's just as big, because we now play in a community. That's what we do. And if that part sucks, then if you play single player, you get bored of it. It's like, for example, let's say Shadow of the Tomb Raider is a game that I absolutely loved, one of my favorite single player games ever. But of course, I've completed that, and I haven't played it since. But obviously, now that there's a new DLC out for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I'm going to go ahead and go back on it and go and do that DLC and get a new storyline and get pushed for that 100% in the game. And for me, this year, why should I do it on F1 2018? Like, I just think F1 2018 is now heavily online based. And if they're really, really desperate to push for an esports series, get online working. Get it working properly. It's a massive get working. Because if it doesn't work, sure, you can practice in time trial, but you need to go into those online races. You need to be in lobbies with the best drivers. You need to keep racing. You need to keep practicing. And if online isn't working, you're just screwed. You really are, because you just don't want to play the game. It's demoralizing. And if there's like F1 2016, weirdly, was a really well working online system. You just search for a 5-lap race, you raced. Like in F1 2018, there are good things in it. Like the rules, like there's more stuff that I can do. But this year, I just feel like there's the main core mechanics for online do not work, and they really need adjusting, because otherwise, people will not play the game as much, and for me, it's not fun. I've had a lot of races where, again, you know, I'm loading into a game and it doesn't even work. I've got cars bouncing on top of each other. I made a video about it, and I even said, like, online challenge just to take the mick, because it's that funny. But for you guys, for league races especially, this really needs to be fixed. And if anyone from Codemasters ever comes around to watching my improvement video like I am now, or explaining it, online is a big fix. Just scrap the whole thing. Like, genuinely, you might as well just scrap online for 2018 and just bang on with 2019. Finally then, some few things I want to talk about. More contact on social media. Now, Codemasters do a very, very good job with feedback. They do it via their forums that they've got on their official website. There's a lot of people that can't get access to those forums. Twitter. Let's get some more going. Let's get some threads going on Twitter. Like, let's branch out a little bit now, Codemasters, when it comes to your game. If you want to keep all of your feedback threads on your website, that's fine. Do it that way. But let's get some more promotion to your website. For example, on Twitter, I'm going to go to Ben Walk for this one. Ben Walk is the community manager at DICE for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2 launched and was a laughingstock. We all laughed at it. It was terrible. And 1 year later, because the game is now exactly 1 year old, I think yesterday, it has taken a massive change and it's now heavily improved. And Ben Walk, the community manager, is constantly tweeting probably about 20 to 30 times a day, maybe with some Star Wars references and also with some community feedback. Constantly, he is posting threads on Twitter, and he is stating, "Look, this is a community feedback. Put what you want in here." And then in the next update, it gets fixed. The updates are slow in Battlefront 2 still, but they get fixed. When it comes to a new update being rolled out, he'll tell you exactly what's going on. There are community transmissions, so you can see what's coming in the next update. And if you're thinking that's concerning, raise your feedback, and then they'll come up and they'll talk to that. And he's constantly responding to people. He's constantly communicating, constantly messaging people, stating, this is what we feel. I understand your feeling, and we'll take this on board. We'll have a look at this. This will be fixed in the next update. And he says that. It's like, for an example, General Grievous. If you don't know him, just look him up. Star Wars character. His lightsaber, his abilities are bugged at the moment in Battlefront 2. Someone simply asks, Grievous is bugged. Is this ability going to be fixed? When is this going to be fixed? And he's like, yep, fixed in next update. Transmission out tomorrow, be out next week. Straight away. And he'll tell you that. And finally, when it comes to F1 getting an update, they don't explain anything. They really don't. Like, you see it and you see multiplayer and it just says, fixed various bug fixes. Well, what bug fixes then? Let's be more communicative towards your audience. Let's start explaining, right? We fixed a bug where the Mercedes-Benz car would blow up if your nan smoked weed. Like, just give us something on that front. I'm trying to make a serious video and I make my stupid jokes again. I don't even know anyway. But yeah, or like fixed a bug where the Ferrari pit crew would delay on a pit stop or something. Like, tell us what bugs have been fixed. Give us more communication. Give us more feedback. And if you want to take those feedback, and if you only want the feedback to be put onto your website forums, just communicate it through Twitter. It's exactly what Ben Walk does for DICE, for an example. And sure, yeah, wow, EA is a much bigger company than Codemasters, but this is, any game company could do this. And it's something that I will do when I release my game. They'll make sure that there's a way that I'll be promoting to you guys. Hey, on my Gundam game that I'm making, I want some feedback on this. Put it in this thread. And on Twitter, Codemasters or Jenny or Paul or Lee Mather, anyone, just, right, here we go. We've made a new update. We've changed the appearance of the McLaren. Give us a thread in the feedback. Like, how does the McLaren look now? Is there anything wrong with it? And it's like, right, and you sort of tweet and it's like, yeah, I don't quite like the look of the nose. I think this is that. Right, we understand that. And then it's like, right, we've made some changes to this update. Thread in the feedback. And it's like, right, you've updated all the appearances of all the Formula 1 cars, but you've ignored Mercedes-Benz. Can we have a look at Mercedes-Benz? Try and get them updated, please. Sure. And just get some communication going. Let's get some feedback rolling towards us as people. And that's kind of it, really. For me, then, overall, that's kind of it. That's all I got to talk about for F1 2018. For me this year, F1 2018, definitely if you are a massive fan of Formula 1, go buy the game, obviously. I'm not saying don't buy it. What is my biggest problem with F1 2018? It's not worth £45, $60, whatever it is. If you said to me, F1 2018 is going to be worth 20 quid, I'll buy it. Anything more than that, you're taking the mick. That's how it is. Like, and even it's like their headline edition, like their big edition, just 2 classic cars. That's it. I've used them once. I don't care. I shouldn't really bother with a headline edition. But for me, F1 this year, it's a good game. There have been some significant improvements, but there's still some major drawbacks. And the problem is those drawbacks are now outweighing the positives in the game, if you get what I mean. Like, there's so many good changes, but it's overshadowed by the poor stuff that is in the game itself. And that's why I think it's gone wrong. But yeah, for me, overall, if you're someone that hasn't got the game yet, don't hesitate from buying the game just because of what I've said. This is mainly just a way to improve on F1 2018, because I think there's still a lot of improvements to come from it. I just don't think the price is... I think the game pretty much overall is overpriced. Career mode is probably just about worth it, a little bit lower. All the other like little events and invitational challenges and stuff, that's okay. The online is rubbish, and that's what really kills off the price for me. And yeah, there's still many ways the game can improve. And there's probably more changes to now, but I've been going on for 35 minutes, so I'm probably going to stop it now. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you want me to make any more videos regarding F1 2018 and futures for 2019, maybe I'll do another one in the future, let me know. But until then, guys, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well. Hopefully, if anyone from Codemasters sees this, hopefully you can take some of this feedback on board. If you guys have got any changes that you'd like to see for F1 2019, put it in the comment section down below. I'll be sure to read them and see what you guys think as well. Feel free to voice your opinions. If you guys do not agree with some other people's opinions in the comment section down below, please don't go ahead and start arguing with them. Just state your opinions down below and make sure that your voice is heard. Don't worry about anyone else's because you're the guys that buy the game. You're the ones that play it. You're the ones that are important. And yeah, take care all guys. Thanks for watching.